Hey everyone, welcome to the live stream. I know I don't normally live stream on Fridays, but I thought I'd give it a chance this time. I've been working on a video which I just released, and we're going to put the link up here for it in a minute. I'm surprised I was able to get started at this time. I don't really have much of an agenda today, mostly just a Q&A. I don't know if YouTube has started live streaming. Something might be going on with that, but I should be on Twitch and Instagram at the very least, and hopefully YouTube will pop up here in a minute.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
Oh, wait a sec. Is it only 2 o'clock?
Yeah, it's only 2.
Oh, hold on. I need to change this. Hold on, guys. No wonder YouTube hadn't started. I just realized I put the wrong time in because I've been running around like crazy.
Oh, so you're an hour early.
I'm an hour early. How did it end up being an hour early?
Gee,
Can I change the time on this thing? All right.
Well, this is good because I got to go upstairs and grab something.
Okay, maybe it's going to do it now. Anyway, it's supposed to be a Q&A today, so if anybody's got any mixing or production questions, I'll do my best. Yeah, no, I didn't forget the time change. I just, for some reason, thought it was an hour later. And I don't know if I can change the time here that my stream's supposed to start on YouTube. I'm sitting here looking like I set it for 3, and I was like, is there a way to like go ahead and change it? Because I can't believe I'm an hour early. I'm over here like, how the heck did I, oh my God, I lost my freaking mind here. Yeah, I don't know how to change it. If anybody's got an idea, let me know, because I'm an hour early. I might just have to stream again at 3 because I wasn't going to stream very long. Yeah, but yeah. So I made a video. It's out on YouTube, and I need to hold on. I'm going to see if I can get a link for it here because I'm on 2 different computers. But what it's about is why music is starting to sound the same today, which is something that I know a lot of people complain about. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that people, you know, they have their reasons why. And it's the same kind of stuff you would normally expect. But I have a different angle on it because I'm a music producer. And there's some things that most people don't talk about. So here's the link to my video. I'm going to put it up on Instagram. I'm going to come over to Twitch.
Yeah, thanks, because
put it up there.
I'm not.
Why, are you not able to get your email or something?
No, I'm getting in there slowly.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to do 2 streams today. Anyway, I put the link up, so if anybody wants to check it out. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and play a little part of the video just so you guys can see what it's about. So hold on, here we go. I'm going to play some of that, and then maybe we'll do some questions. But every recording was a unique sound. And here's another thing. Today, when we're mixing down songs, and mixing down is where you take all the different elements, all the tracks, all the instruments, and you combine them down to a stereo file, which is left and right, which is what you're listening to on your phone or on Spotify or on YouTube for the most part. When that's done, it's done in the computer. Back in the old days, we mixed down to reel-to-reels. There were a lot of different brands of these things. And being analog, no 2 of these machines sounded the same. The other thing that would make a difference in the sound is the type of tape that they used. I like to use Ampex 456, which is more of a rock and roll type sound. Another thing that would make a difference is the tape speed. This machine ran at 15 inches per second. Some people would run at 30 inches per second. Some people would be at 7.5 inches per second, and that would change the sound. There are so many more variations that would affect the sound of your music, going down to your reel-to-reel, and then you would take this to the mastering facility, which would make a master disc to print your records. But what would happen sometimes is that they would change the speed of the 2-track. This was something that sometimes was called sweetening, and they would do that because it would kind of tighten up the sound. It would raise the pitch a little bit. It kind of gave it a brighter tone a little bit and gave it a sound like this. That's normal speed. I'm just going to speed it up. Now you see the pitch has gone up a little bit. It tightens up the song. The other thing that it does is it'll make the song a little bit shorter. So sometimes record labels would say, oh, I want the song just to be a little bit shorter to make it a little bit more competitive. So what would end up happening is that you would end up having songs on the radio where different songs didn't have the same bass tuning. They weren't tuned to A440. So you could have songs that were maybe a little higher or a little bit lower. I should probably talk about the loudness wars. Radio has always been a well, there's that, and that's part of the video, and it's talking about why music is starting to sound all the same. Obviously, people talk about tuning, auto-tune. They'll talk about, you know, the influence of, like, technology and all that. And I just did a video about how I don't think technology is ruining modern music. I love technology. I think the point of this video that I'm making here, and you should watch the whole thing because I've got a lot of stuff that I hadn't seen anybody else talk about, and is that technology can help you, but can it be a crutch? It can be something that you rely on, and you can get lazy where you don't, you know, there's these tools out there and you just grab them and they sound great. You've got, you know, these drums, you got these keyboards, you got these MIDI packs and chord packs, and all that stuff's great, but keep in mind that everybody else has got access to the same exact stuff, and if you're not messing with it or trying to do something unique or get outside of the box, you're just going to sound like everybody else. Back in the old days, back when I was young, you had no choice but to sound like yourself. You couldn't, it was actually hard to sound like other people because every studio was different. They had a different collection of microphones. Oh, hold on. There we go. Sorry, I forgot to turn my mic back on. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, dude, it's so Mark, I got to tell you, Mark, it's so confusing right now. I thought it was 3 o'clock. I was originally going to start the stream at 3, and my YouTube's waiting around till 3 o'clock, and I'm sitting there looking at the clock. I was like, oh, I'm running around, and boom, it's 2 o'clock. So anyway, I'll probably do another stream here at 3 o'clock. Jesus. But yeah, back in the old days, you know, it's like there wasn't the access to gear like there is now. You can just go online and you can buy anything. In the old days, like there might be a music store where you could buy a decent mic, and good gear was really expensive. And we were using tape machines, analog tape machines, and you know, none of them are the same. Oh, that's Ty. Hey Ty, what's up? So you could. It was actually hard to match another sound. And, oh, you know, mixers, too. Like, even like this mixer I've got here. Let me show you this. This is my console. This is my Ghost console right here. Which, you know, it's easy to get access to this stuff now. Like, there's lots of mixers and stuff like that out there that anybody can get. But back in the day, early in the day, like, if you had a studio and you wanted to have a mixer, you'd have to build the mixer. Not by the time I came along. But it wasn't a common thing to be able to find a 16 or 24 channel board with group outputs and insert returns and stuff like that. It was pretty uncommon. Most of the mixers that would be something I could afford were kind of made more for going out and doing gigs. And it wasn't until getting into the 90s that there were affordable, decent mixers that you could put in a home studio when people started building home studios. Nowadays, of course, man, it's crazy. Like this mixer here, I probably spent more money on this, actually my other Ghost console, I had a 32 channel one. This is a 24 channel one that I've got at this studio, but my other studio, it's 32 channel. I'm pretty sure that I probably spent more money on that mixer than a decent computer and an interface and a handful of plugins would cost easily by today's standards. So it's easy to get all that stuff. However, there's a kind of a generic aspect to it because everybody's got access to the same thing. And I'm not trying to sound like an old man kind of complaining and bitching. I use all the new technology, but I'm always trying to find a way to mess it up and make it unique and, you know, make it my own. Because that's the only way you're going to really stand out. You got to find a way as an artist to stand out from the crowd and have your own voice. It's easy to make a great sounding record, but you're just going to sound like all the other great sounding records out there. Once again, you can ask questions today. I don't really have much of an agenda. We've also got Kit here today. Kit, say hi to everybody. I think your
Hello.
mic's on now.
Of course, you got me right after I put chocolate in my mouth.
Oh, wait, you got chocolate? Here. Hold on. I got to get some. Hold on, guys. I need some chocolate really bad. Oh, just that. I asked for chocolate, and she just gives me this little piece right here. So.
I don't have much more.
Oh, you got more?
No, I said I don't have much more.
Oh, okay. That's why. We're rationing our chocolate. So, if anybody's got any questions about mixing, production, music technology, whatever, I'll answer what I can. I just put out a YouTube video probably 10 minutes ago. And let me see if I can put a link up here. I don't know if it really works up here in Instagram, but I'm going to put it up anyway. But if you guys get a chance, go and watch that. It's about, why music all sounds the same today. Let's see. Well, nobody's asking any questions, man. Usually I come on here to do a Q&A and there's a million people asking questions. Come on, let's get some questions. I'm ready for some questions about music production.
I think you caught everybody off guard streaming it too.
Well, I also normally stream on Wednesday, and I didn't stream on Wednesday because I was working on this video. I was going to stream yesterday. That didn't happen. And as usual, I thought I was going to do a low-effort content video where I just talk for 8 minutes and put up a couple things and I'm done. And this thing ended up being, it's over 20 minutes long, but it's worth watching. As usual, I find a lot of things to talk about. I have no issue, blabbing my mouth. Well, since nobody's actually asking any questions, I'm going to go back to my video here and I'm going to play another excerpt from my video that just went up today. So check it out. Hopefully somebody will have some questions for today. Here we go. At the creation of drum machines as the beginning of this trend, but I disagree. The early drum machines were not actually that accurate. Some of the earliest ones were actually analog devices. This is my beloved MPC, which I used for years. And the thing that's interesting about this machine in particular is that the quantization inside of this thing, quantization is the thing that when you're playing the pads and making a beat, it lines it up to make it more in time. The quantization on these things was never accurate. It kind of drifted. It never was the same thing twice. It actually kind of had its own feel. Another thing you got to understand about a lot of these drum machines is that they're not just drum machines, they're actually samplers. You can record audio into it and cut it up and then assign it to pads and play it. And while a lot of these did come with stock sounds, most of the people I know didn't use those. They would sample albums and records. Everybody that came in had their own unique drum sounds. Lil Jon, Collie Park, David Banner, none of these guys I worked with had the same drum sounds. They had their own secret drum library. Today, most young producers are not using external drum machines. Now, they might have a controller pad, but that controller pad is controlling a plugin that is in their digital audio workstation. And while these plugins often have quantizing schemes that are supposed to emulate the feel of these different drum machines, most people are not using them. They're just playing the part in and then doing a strict 100% quantize and everything is right on the grid. I personally know this because I can tell you for a fact, in the last 10 years, I've not had one project come in here that had programmed drums that weren't perfectly in time. The other thing is, nobody's really creating their own sounds. These plugins come with preset sample packs, and they're going out and buying sample packs, but they're all buying the same ones that everybody else has. Nobody's creating their own samples anymore. So yeah, that's another excerpt from my video that just came out. And I see over on Twitch that Mark Songs says that music sounds the same because a lot of current popular music is focused on beats per minute, and there are a lot of micro genres as a result of BPMs. It's actually interesting that you bring that up because I've noticed that with a lot of my newer clients in the last few years. I get a song in and it's 120 BPMs. And it's like, man, everybody's doing songs at 120. And then it occurred to me, because most of these people are getting Logic or something and just putting it in there and they don't know much about it. I think they're just starting it, and 120 is usually the default tempo. So I think people are just going in there and goes, it sounds good. Like they're just working at 120 BPMs. I don't think people realize you can actually change the tempo. I don't know. I thought it was kind of odd. Listen, so everybody knows I normally stream on Wednesdays. I did it today on Friday. I normally start at 3. I thought it was 3 o'clock. I started my stream, but my YouTube stream is not started because I scheduled it for 3 and I don't know how to change it. So I'm going to actually need to jump over there.
You're streaming on YouTube.
Am I streaming on YouTube?
Yeah, you're on YouTube.
Well, how come I don't see chat?
I don't know. Chat doesn't seem to be like, I don't know. Hey, YouTube, is anybody over there chatting?
I'm not seeing it here. I'm not.
But the video is live.
Weird. Here's the problem. I think I made it private to begin with for some stupid reason because I did this at 4 o'clock in the morning last night, and I switched it to public while it started streaming. I might stop it and start it. I see Jordan on Instagram ask a question. Advice for getting more recording work. I just graduated college and have only done a handful of recordings and want to get some experience. You know, I think there's a couple things. I think try to find somebody who's working and go over there and offer to take out their trash. And, you know, if they've got a studio, just do anything, you know, help in any way you can. And then, you know, maybe they'll let you sit in on some stuff. You'll learn a lot. The other thing is, and this is how I built my client base, is I found people that I liked, and I thought were good. And I would just give them studio time, and I would do that, and I would make sure I did the best job possible. The key to doing that, though, is you don't want to just pick anybody. You know, it's good if you like the music and you like them, but you got to make sure you're doing it with somebody who's actually going to go out and promote the stuff. The best example I have is in the late 90s when I started working with Bone Crusher. I had done a project with him, and I really liked him a lot. And after it was over, it was a compilation record I did for local Atlanta rappers, and a friend of mine and I had put it together. I just thought Bone was cool, so I hit him up and took him out and bought him some burritos at Taco Bell. I think that's where we went. And I said, you want to work on some songs? He's like, sure, man. And he came over, and let me tell you, he took advantage of that. I kind of regretted it at a point because he'd call me all the time and be like, oh, let's do another song. But here's the thing. Everything that I did, I would make sure I did a really good rough mix. He would take that and play it for everybody in Atlanta, and just, you know, he's a good self promoter. He'd be like, "Oh, this is great," and this guy Billy Hume, he's amazing, and all that. And I got so much work off of that. He would find a way. I could finish a mix or rough mix on a song at 11 or 12 at night, and somehow, he would talk his way past the security guard at a radio station and get up to the DJ and get the DJ to spin it at like 1 a.m. And it got out there. And that's probably the best example I have. So I'd say just get out there and try to find some people to work with that are, you know, that are going to get out there and promote the work. So I'll tell you what, I hope that answers your question. I'm gonna throw it over to Kit here in a second, and I'm going to see if I can get YouTube going here because I don't know. It might be...
Chat's live.
Oh, chat's live? Mm-hmm. Oh. Well, then I'm not seeing it. Okay, just as long as I know it's live. I'm not gonna
also, Gem X lets us know that you can change the privacy settings without stopping the stream.
Well, I did that, and I think the problem is I'm trying to look at YouTube's chat over here through OBS, so I think it might have freaked out OBS. Let me go over here and see. You know what? I'm going to do this. Sorry, guys. I'm just a little discombobulated today. It's been kind of a crazy week, as I'm sure everybody can relate to. I'm going to go over here to my channel.
We're definitely both discombobulated.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. It's not the best way to do this, but I will at least be able to... Whoa, stop! At least I'll be able to... Okay. Geez, look at that. Now we have... can I pop this out? Pop out chat. All right. Boom. It's not even 3 o'clock yet. Guys, I got to tell you, it's been kind of bonkers because I thought it was 3 o'clock. And
he was freaking out with Billy Hume.
That's why it's called Freaking Out with Billy Hume for sure. But and I start streaming. I'm like, wait a sec, it's only 2 o'clock. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah. If anybody's got any questions about music production and such, oh, hold on. Oh yeah, okay, I see that over there on YouTube. I got to bring this down to this screen so I can see it. Yeah. So let me see, what else can I talk about here? I didn't really have much planned except to see if anybody wanted to answer any questions about music production or mixing.
Did you want to expand a little bit on some of the stuff you have in your video?
Yeah, so in the video, and I just played a portion of the video. In the video, I was talking about how a lot of people will blame drum machines and stuff like that for music all sounding the same. And my point was that, you know, it kind of goes back to the early drum machines. And I'll show you something here. This is my trusty MPC that I got sometime in the 90s. And I don't know if you know, like, I'm sure some of y'all have seen this before. It's a sampler and a drum machine. And I actually can still use this as a controller. I just love these pads. But the thing that was interesting about these MPCs is that the quantization on them, and quantization is the thing that when you play a beat in, it makes sure to line it up and make it in time. It was never accurate. It would drift on it. And the way I know that is because people would make beats on these, and then we'd sync it up to the Pro Tools, and then record it in there. And you got to put the same tempo in there. So I'd look at it on grid, and I'd notice that, you know, one kick would be here, one would be here, snare would be here. The hi-hats are sometimes late. This thing drifted, and it's kind of part of what's built into their quantization, but it's just the way the machine worked. And I really thought it sounded great, and it gave it a uniqueness. But nowadays, people will get, you know, an MPC, supposedly emulator, but everybody's just quantizing things at 100%. So everything's perfectly on the grid. Sometimes certain beats need to be behind. And that's why when I'm programming drums, I move stuff around, and I also don't quantize at 100%. And I think that's a really important thing, because the drum plugins, I just think are a little too accurate. That's just my opinion about it. I see on Instagram, and okay, so Elise Sound says, I have this thing right now that I'm starting to think it is much better to record everything with an SM57 than with cheaper condensers, meaning everything, including voice. Am I crazy? Yeah, you are crazy. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? No, actually, when you say cheap condenser, are you talking about large diaphragm condensers or small diaphragm condensers? You know, it's kind of funny. Like I've got a lot of really good mics, but I got a couple cheap large diaphragm condensers, and they're pretty cool. But I had gone through a thing recently where I was just using, you know, dynamic mics, and I've kind of fallen back in love with using the SM57. You might look at getting an SM58 for vocals. It's the same components, except it's got the little ball on it, so you're not going to get so much popping. I think it smooths out the sound a little bit. And I had been somewhere recently where I recorded something with a good SM58, and I thought it sounded great. And so no, I don't think there's anything wrong with recording a bunch of stuff with SM57s. They're just they've got a sound to them, and you know they're cheap too. So no, you're not crazy. You know that the bottom line of it all is that, I only slept a few hours last night. The bottom line is, if you like it and you think it sounds good, that's the only thing that matters. And I think people get too caught up in worrying about all this technical stuff about the gear and whether this has got this frequency response or whatever. I got to tell you, if you've got a great performance and there's a good vibe there and it's interesting and there's cool things happening in the song, none of that matters. I'm going to tell a story about a band I produced, and I actually played on and wrote a lot of the songs. It's a band called Grout. It was kind of a Linkin Park type vibe, and I did that back when I didn't have hardly any like rock gear. I had a really crappy bass. All we had was one crate amplifier, and I don't know if you guys know what a crate is, but they're cheap amps, and it was just a little teeny amp. That's all we had, but we had good ideas, and we just would do really cool things. And I was trying to figure out how to combine live drums with loops. I'd never done it before. I'm really good at it now. if you listen to those recordings compared to the recordings I do now, they don't technically sound as good, but man, everybody loved it, and I got so much work off it. And if I was to play some of it for you now, you wouldn't even think about the audio quality because it's just cool. And I think that's the bottom line. You've got to make sure that you're capturing the right emotion. Don't get too caught up in the quality of it. And I see somebody asking a question. I'm going to answer it in a second, but I just want to make a point here, and that is a friend of mine got a chance to have dinner with Steve Lillywhite. Steve Lillywhite is a famous producer who did U2 and all these other bands and all that. And he asked him, what's your favorite vocal mic? And he said, the one that's hooked up. And the point was, when it's time to do the vocal and there's a vibe going, just record it. Don't spend too much time messing around with the mic. Okay, hold on. I need to get to...
yeah, Jim X was commiserating on the OBS thing. And Stefan says, greetings from Germany.
Oh, cool. Hey, I was born in Germany. I was born in Landstuhl Hospital near Kaiserslautern. And then I lived in Göppingen in the 70s. And then West Berlin in the 70s during the Cold War. Love Germany. Okay, I see. Hold on. I think I missed something here. Okay. Haven Recording. I went on to follow up with your ghost cleaning video. How's the console behaving after that? Did your mystery oil concoction work the way you hoped? Anything you would have done differently? Good question. So what he's talking about, and Crystal, can you put up a link to that video?
I'll find
it. Where is it? Usually Harper's here helping me with the cameras. So he's talking about this. This here's my ghost console. Let me move this out of the way. It's 24 channels by 8 groups. And I got a deal on this. There's kind of a long story about how I got the deal on this board. But it had been in a school. I had to take the whole thing apart. Like I took out every freaking channel. I took off every knob, cleaned every knob. I pulled out every fader. Every one of these faders I pulled out and cleaned because they were noisy and actually they were stiff. You'd move it and be like, and now they're all nice and clean. It took me weeks to get done, and the video was a nightmare to do, but I got a lot of views on it. So to answer your question, it's actually behaving great. Thanks for asking. Yes, the mystery oil concoction worked really good. It seemed weird. What was it? It was somebody told me you take Marvel's mystery oil, which the only thing I found online about it is something people use for cars. And you mix it, there's a formula, you mix it with 100% alcohol. And you use that to clean the all the components. And I liked it because with some of the sprays, like if you're trying to spray it in a potentiometer or something, sometimes there's so much pressure, it like gets back in your face. Whereas with the oil, you just use a syringe and it'll seep into anywhere. So that did really good. And let me see, what else did you ask? What would I have done differently? I don't know if I could have done anything differently. I just did it. I'm actually not done hooking this up. I've got all the line inputs hooked up. I've got a handful of mic inputs hooked up, so I can use extra mic pre's. I don't have any of the effects returns yet, because there was a lot to hook up, and I'm still working on the patch base, but it's usable. Like I use it for the stream. Like I got my mic here, Kit's mic. If Harper's here, his mic is here. The DAW comes in here, and I got a bit more work to do on it, but I'm loving having it. And I tell you, I don't. And by the way, just so everybody knows, I'm not mixing on this thing. This is for tracking sessions, because sometimes during sessions I might have a band here, and somebody's got a laptop, and it's just a better way to kind of route my signals, and trying to do it all through an interface is a freaking nightmare. And I'm loving having this more every day. All right, let's see. Oh, hey Brazil. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, is that why you're buying cheaper mics? Yeah, man. But hey, 57s are pretty good, and I'm trying to think about what other mics that are pretty inexpensive that I think are really good. The Sennheiser 609, I think it is. It's a little square one, lollipop, and it's gray. That's pretty inexpensive, and I've had one for years and I started using it again. I'm starting to really like that a lot. You might want to look into that. Haven Recording. Oh, hold on. Got to scroll down there. Oh, wait, I see. Oh, Wizard Music Production. What's going on? Thanks for being here. Is there anything? I see some chat over on YouTube, but I'm not. Oh, wait a sec. Hold on. There's something here. Okay, sorry if I'm off on the questions here. I'm a little discombobulated because I started my stream at the wrong time and I'm losing my mind. Oh, there's some questions here. I can hardly read this, though. I don't know. Why is my text all small? Hold on. Sorry, I'm disorganized too. Why am I holding an NPC in my lap?
I was going to ask, but I figured I'd just let it go.
Okay, well, I'm going to do this. And maybe somebody will ask a question. I'm just going to hold this in my lap.
Well, no, we've definitely got questions.
Okay. If somebody wants to ask why, I'll tell you later. Okay, let's go to YouTube. Can I make the text bigger? Oh, yeah, look at that. Okay. Okay, over on YouTube, Stefan asks, what is your favorite mic for rap vocals? Sony C800G. G? The Sony mic? What do you think about the mics from Advanced Audio? I've not tried the Advanced Audio mics. To be honest with you, I've never actually used one of those Sonys before. Kind of crazy, huh? God, they're expensive, though. I did most of my rap music records that I did. I either used this. This is a TLM 103. Excuse me. I'm eating chocolate, so it's making me cough. I use these. This is a TLM 103. I don't know what they go for now. I have two of them. That's what I'm using here to talk into. It's not my normal streaming mic. I'm normally using an RE20 up here. But these are a little bright, but I've found that if I use these for vocals on rap music, I don't have to EQ them typically in the mix. I also have a Neumann TLM 170, which I still have, but it's really old, so I don't really pull it out for sessions. I just use it for myself. And actually, hold on. I want to take this down. Because I want to talk to who's over in Brazil. It was Elise Sound. So this is a little more expensive right here, but if you're looking for cheap mics, I got to tell you, I'm falling in love with this mic more and more every day. I bought this, 20 years ago, and I bought it for kick drum and miking bass guitar amps. And then I found that I don't really like miking bass amps that much. I just prefer the DI most of the time. I'm not even crazy about this for kick drum, but this mic is designed for broadcasting. When I started making YouTube videos, I started using this mic. And I've got a very mid-rangey voice, in case you can't tell. It's like, rah, 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 rah. This mic smooths out my voice a lot, but it's very directional. Very directional. And the tone is amazing. And the other thing I've discovered lately is it's actually pretty quiet. It requires a lot of gain. You're going to have to turn up your mic pre a ton. But this is, I'm finding that actually during the video that I just put out today, there's a short section where I play acoustic guitar. And I just used the mic I was talking into, and I was like, oh my God, this sounds so good on the acoustic. So I might experiment with using this on acoustic as well. I think these go for like $300 or $400, which is, not a crazy price, but for what you're getting, really, really good. So I would suggest if you can get one of these. And I see that Kyle asked about this over on Instagram. Yes, I love the RE20. I wish I had two of them because sometimes when I'm making videos, I'm looking this way and I've got a mic up here and then I want a mic here, but I've only got one, so I would like to buy another one. But funny, this sat in a box for like 20 years. And then 3 years ago, I fell in love with it again. So yeah, that's a great mic. Let's see, over on YouTube. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Why is that thing in the way? Get out of the way. Okay.
Up. If you go up, I'm trying to get a little more chronological. Jameson Donald says, regarding dynamic mics, did you ever try a Heil PR40?
I'm not. Hold on. Let me look that up because that's what that one guy had a Heil. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up. We had some in the studio. I had a client that was using it. And I thought what was cool about some of their mics is they actually had lights in them. No, I haven't tried that one. I see it now. Oh, it kind of looks like an RE20. Interesting. It's this one right here. Hold on. Yeah, I was talking about this mic right here. It kind of interesting. Wait, is it side address? Oh, I think it's side address. Oh wait, am I on the right mic? Yeah. No, I've never tried that. I got to tell you though, I had a client bring in 2 of them, and I thought they're pretty darn good, man. Let me get this out of the way. Let me go back to my chat here. Where'd my chat go?
Jason Shepard notes that his first amp was a 40-watt crate.
Oh, really? I don't know what happened to that amp. I think my first amp was probably a Stage 65. I've actually got one in the back. Terrible. But I had a small PV that at the time I was like, it's just a PV. But now, God, I'm listening to all the recordings and I wish I still had that thing. Some of the PVs that were made in the 70s and the 80s were just great. And I don't think PV amps get the respect they deserve. I just think they're amazing, you know? And let's see. Let me go.
Stefan wonders if you ever mix in Cubase or Logic. That question comes up frequently.
Okay. So, and I was going to talk about this today. So I do. Everybody's always asking me questions online, but they also want to know, hey, do you do mentorships? Do you classes? Yes, I do. I don't have anything formal now. I'm working on some courses that haven't been released. What I do, and I did 2 this week, and I think I picked up another client where we do stuff through Zoom. And people that are local, sometimes I just meet with them and they bring over their DAWs. But my whole thing is that I will teach them to work on their DAW. Not that I'm an expert. So I've learned Cubase. I like the plugins. There's some of the routing that's a little weird on it. Here's my take on Cubase. Great plugins. Oh my God. And the channel plugins that are built in are amazing. But God, the routing is a nightmare. My God, driving me nuts. But I've got a client that comes in about once a month and we record stuff and I'll help him mix his songs and show him some things and figuring out techniques with it. I've worked in Logic a lot. Similar issue with that. Not crazy about the routing, but it's a lot more easy to understand. I will say Logic's plugins are amazing. The built-in, if I was working in Logic all the time, I don't know if I would really use an outside third-party EQ. It's that maybe the Manley, Universal Audio Manley, and a couple other ones. But their built-in EQs are just fantastic. Their reverbs are just mind-blowing. And there's the compressors are pretty good. In Logic, and I don't know if most people know that, there's a hidden compressor. It's called the silver compressor. And the way you can get to it is when you go to choose your plugin, if you hold on a Mac, I don't know how it is on a PC. If you hold down Option, and while you're holding it, go to pick plugins, it'll come up with another list. It's either Legacy or maybe it's like Other or something. You got to look for it, but you'll see something different. And then it'll be like Legacy plugins, and you can find this silver compressor. The silver compressor has got like 2 knobs on it or something like that. And to me, it's like the best compressor they've ever made. So if you ever get a chance, go over and, try the silver compressor. Let's see. Are there any questions here on YouTube?
Yes. Where'd I go? What is a DAW MIDI controller you'd recommend for beginners? From Grant.
A DAW MIDI controller. Like, what do you mean? Like, you talking about like for pads or something like that? For playing things or for faders? Because that's kind of a big open-ended question there. Hit me back with that answer in a second. In the meantime, Jamex says, I'm looking into getting a cassette tape recorder just to have something to be able to quickly capture. Was just looking at the Akai MG614. What is that? I used to have a really nice Akai that I don't know where it went to. I found a really good dual cassette recorder and player in a thrift store recently for like $15, and it's great. Let's see. Oh, that's a you mean like you're talking about a...
He says fader knobs.
Yeah, so you're talking about a multi-track cassette recorder. I mean, I guess that's cool. You can just do it on your phone too, although there is something about having it on tape. Okay, so the answer was a DAW controller. This is on YouTube from Grant. Fader knobs. I I hate to say it, man. I don't have a controller. I'm one of those guys. I do everything with a mouse, or actually, trackball. I know that there's some good ones out there. If I were gonna get, God, I've thought about it a lot because I do like having faders. I know that there's a couple companies that make the touch screens and you can do multi-touch on them, but what you're probably going to want to get is, if you're going to get faders, get at least 8 faders and make sure they've got the metal fader knobs. Like, so this thing is metal. And the reason you want to do that is because if they're metal, it's probably designed to sense when you touch it so that you can jump into automation if you want to automate something. Some of the cheaper ones are not, and they don't really do that. But unfortunately, I don't have a answer to that. I will say this, though. If you're going to get a DAW controller with faders on it, you need to do a lot of research into latency. Depending on the system you're on, whether you're on a Mac or PC, and how it hooks up to the computer, there's going to be a huge difference in the latency. That's what I've seen a lot of people complain about. Like, well, it's pretty cool, but there's a slight delay in it. So just look into that. That's no matter what you get, if there's some latency on it, it's going to drive you nuts. Let's see.
Ajinkya Naik wonders, do you ever record Indian instruments?
I haven't in a while. I used to do... I used to have a lot of interesting clients back in the 90s. I mean, I've got a lot of tabla samples and all that, but I don't really, it's not like I'm hooked up with any scene around here, but I would like to. I had a project in the 90s, and it was not Asian music, it was Middle Eastern music. But it was interesting because they were bringing in people from multiple countries, and half the people didn't speak the same language. They had an interpreter, and a lot of the instruments they were playing had been handmade in the villages they came from. Some were from Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Israel. God, I'm thinking where else. And it was fascinating. And I saw the recordings. I've been thinking about sampling them. But I love that because they're unique instruments. Like, there's nothing out there. When you have a handmade instrument like that, it's not going to sound like anything else. And I wish I could work on more of that stuff. So Connor Dalton over on Instagram. I'd love to know more about your camera setup and switcher between different camera angles. What software you're using. Thanks so much. Well, before I answer that, I just want to add in, as I said earlier, I do give private consultations on anything. Actually, mostly it's about mixing. I have a client that's just opened up a new studio, and they're trying to get into filming and live streaming and video editing. We spent an hour yesterday just talking about what to do to get ready for live streaming and filming. We didn't even get into OBS. So if anybody's interested in some private consultations, let us know. I do these all the time, and we can do them on Zoom, and I'm pretty flexible. So to answer your question, and actually I don't have everything set up today because I usually have a camera over here and all that. I was working on a YouTube video. I didn't get it all set up. So to answer your question, I'm using OBS, and the main thing I'm doing, and I always advise this to people that are really serious about this and you want to use a lot of cameras. I have 2 computers. I've got my Mac over here, which is a fairly new Mac, and it does all the music, and all anything music is in there. Then that comes to my console here. That comes to my Ghost console. So my Mac comes in here on these 2 channels, which these 2 channels right here is the return from my Mac. The microphones, like my mic and Kit's mic, and if Harper's here, their microphones come into the console as well. Then they all go out a stereo channel to a PC that I've got over here, and it's just a Behringer 2-channel interface that Justin Mullenix from the whole Risky Biscuit band bought for me as a gift because I'd helped him out on some stuff. And then I stream off the PC. The reason I do that is because it's less taxing on the computer, But also, Macs are a little weird with their privacy, and I tried to do it all on one computer, and it was a nightmare. So that's the basic setup, and I've got multiple cameras, and they're just, most of them are USB kind of webcams and stuff like that. I've got a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K over here, so I've got like one of the Blackmagic switchers, and it's actually very complicated. It's like, but that's kind of the basic gist. I probably need to do another video about my setup when I got all my cameras set up. But that's the basic question. If there's anything specific you want to know, let me know. Hey, Chronic Dream, what's going on? No, I never did work with George Harrison. Why, did somebody ask that question?
No. I think it was in response to Indian Instruments.
Oh, boy.
So Mr. SJK says, hi, I wonder do you like electronic music like techno, trance, or others? Do you master it?
That's kind of two questions. Yeah, I like it if it's good. I wouldn't say, the weird thing is I wouldn't say that, I can't say I like rock, or I like electronic, or I like bluegrass. I've never been like that. For instance, I'm a huge fan of The Who, which is a rock band from the 70s. But man, there's certain albums of theirs I'm like, or like Radiohead. Never got into, it was the one after Radiohead. Oh yeah, Kid OK or Kid something. I hated that album. So yeah, sometimes I like EDM, and sometimes it's really cool. Do I master it? I am not a mastering engineer, although the way I mix, I'm doing stuff where I think I'm kind of mastering as I mix, because sometimes my clients will send stuff out to mastering, and when I get it back, I'm like, sounds kind of like my mix, maybe just a teeny bit louder, So there's something I'm doing in my mixing that is incorporating some of the mastering stuff into it, but I wouldn't call myself a mastering guy. But I can pretty much compete with most of the mastering guys. Some guys out there are fantastic. So, but yeah, I mean, I like it if it's cool, and if it's good and if it's unique. Let's see.
A couple of comments over on YouTube from Jim X about more about the tape recorder and something about a preamp.
Hold on. Okay, so over on YouTube, Jim X he's talking about a multi-track cassette recorder. I'm considering the Trident flathead, fathead filter, or Thomann fathead copy versus getting a pro amp. I don't really know what those are. Are those? I don't even know. It's a preamp. Man, I'll tell you, I'm going to say something that's going to completely contradict the video I just put up on YouTube. But I got to tell you, a lot of the newer interfaces come with built-in mic pre's that are built into the unit. If you don't have much money and a lot of gear, I would say getting something like that. Some of the Universal Audio ones are just fantastic. My issue with them is that they're not unique and that everybody's got the same thing. But if you're starting out, man, that's probably where I would start. If you got the money, yeah, I'd get an outboard preamp. I don't know about any of the ones that you're asking about, unfortunately. And he's saying, he's asking about active cable. I don't know what an active cable is, Gem X. You're asking about 48 volts, and I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Now, you're talking about the cloud lifters. I don't have a cloud lifter. I happen to have really clean mic pre's, and I just crank up the gain. I've been wanting to get one for my RE20 and a couple other mics. Just hadn't gotten around to doing it. Yeah, so hold on. I'm looking at questions here. Are there any... Oh, hey, official Alan Benjamin, how's it going? Yeah, I started streaming earlier. I thought it was 3 o'clock, and I started streaming at 2 like a bonehead. My brain's not been quite together. Boy, Twitch is going slow today. I don't know what's up with Twitch. I don't think they're sending out my darn notifications.
I never get notifications when you go live anymore.
Yeah, if anybody knows why Twitch is not sending out notifications for my streams, let me know. There must be some setting I'm doing wrong. I don't think people know I'm actually streaming on Twitch at all. Nobody knows. I think the only reason Mark Songs is on there because he knows me, and he's waiting for me to tell him when he can come up here.
Actually, you know, that TY, that was a thank you.
Oh, I thought that was Ty.
I know. I figured it out after.
Oh, well, thank you then. Okay. So, Mark, we're not going camping.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, it'd be funny. It's like we go camping. Some guy named Mark shows up. Says, "Well, you said I could come camping." Yeah, me and one of my clients. I'm gonna make a video about it. I don't want to say too much about it, but we're gonna go out in the woods and make music in the woods here soon. That's all I'm gonna say. I might play another little excerpt from this video here. Hold on. The video that came out today. Let me see if I can find another section I want to play. Okay, yeah, here's something. I'm going to talk about, we're going to talk about the loudness wars. I'm going to play a little bit more of the video that I just put out today, so check this out. Radio has always been a competitive market, going back to its beginning. You wanted your songs to be louder than other people's songs so they would stand out on the radio and capture attention more. But there was a limit to how loud that could be. With vinyl records, the mere physicality of how they work is such that there's these little teeny grooves in here that the needle sits in, and the sound is created by basically little bumps in there. And for it to be louder, the bumps have to be bigger. If they got too big, it would literally cause the needle to jump out of the groove. Now, they could control that a little bit when they were taking their reel-to-reel masters and making their vinyl masters by using these things called compressors. And a compressor is basically an inverse volume control, so that as a sound got louder, if there's a little peak in the sound, it would kind of push down a little. And they could do it a little bit, but there was a limitation to what they could do. However, as we got into the late 80s and digital technology and CDs became more prevalent, there are ways to push that volume up even more. And as we got into the 90s and the 2000s, records kept getting louder and louder. Let me show you an example. I picked songs I like from 4 different albums. Let It Be from the Beatles' 1970 album Let It Be. Elton John's Island Girl from the K-Tel Hit Machine compilation album that was put out in 1976. Masquerade by George Benson from his 1976 album Breezin'. And I Want to Be Your Lover by Prince from his 1979 album Prince. And I recorded them all in so that you could see the waveforms. As you can see on Let It Be right here, there's a lot of dynamic range. It starts quiet, it gets loud, and you can also see these little peaks here. These are like drum hits, like the kick drum and the snare drum. It looks very musical. We come over to Island Girl by Elton John. It's getting a little bit louder, but there's still a lot of dynamics in here. And you can also see these individual drum hits. There's an overall difference in volume between here, and it's going up and down. It's got some dynamics on it. Then we come over to George Benson's Masquerade, and it's definitely got a lot of dynamics. And then we go to Prince's I Want to Be Your Lover. Definitely it's starting to flatten out a little bit, but not really that much. And you can see all these individual peaks right here, which is what music with drums should look like. Now let's jump up to 1997's Semi-Charmed Life by Third Eye Blind, and you can see that's definitely getting a little louder here. Nothing crazy. I mean, I don't really see any brick walling, which is from the use of limiters. And a limiter is different from a compressor in that a compressor pushes back the volume by kind of turning it down as if you had a knob, whereas a limiter is like this thing. The volume hits it and it's not going to go above it. Now we're going to jump up to Unthinkable by Alicia Keys. Now look at this. You can definitely see how it's getting louder there. And you can start seeing the disappearance of any kind of dynamics in individual peaks from, one drum hit or some instrument that's slightly louder. Now we're going to jump up to 2024's Texas Hold'em. Boom! Look at the volume difference here. And you can see that it's definitely brick wall. This is clipping here, folks. Look at that. It's just like there's no dynamics left anymore. And the individuality of different parts in the song is kind of disappearing. It's just loud. But this is where we're at now. If you see where music was back in the late 60s, early 70s up to now and the volume difference. And what that means is that it's just loud all the time. There's no dynamics. Nowadays, instead of hearing a song that might get louder and quiet and have these little sections you got to listen for it, it's all just in your face. Everything is loud. I had all these other things I was going to talk about in this. So yeah, that's a little clip from the video that I just put out today. And it's available on YouTube. It's a long video, so go check it out. And let's see. Oh, wait, there's a couple questions over here on Instagram or comments. Let me come back. Oh, yeah, and I think Kit mentioned this. Official Alan Benjamin. yes, you did miss the stream because I started an hour early by accident, but all my live streams are available on my YouTube channel. As soon as I'm done, they're up there. They post immediately. So this whole stream, all the good stuff and all the bad parts are going to be there. I'll usually kind of take out the first couple minutes where I've got the wait screen there, but they're all there. And let's see.
Mr. SJK is wondering, how do I find my first mixing clients? I'll do a profile on 3 platforms, and I want to create a website.
Where's that at?
It's on YouTube, a few comments up.
Okay. Oh, my God. I only slept 4 hours last night, so I'm a little punch drunk here. Okay, how do you find first mixing clients? So this is on YouTube. Mr. SJK, kind of a similar answer that I had for somebody else earlier about getting mixing clients. The best way to get work is to do good work. I don't want to sound like a smartass, but nobody's going to hire you if they can't hear what you did. So first off, I don't know if you make music or not. If you make music, just make some songs in different styles and just destroy the mix. Just do the best you can so that you can play that for people. The thing I did in the early days was I just found people that I would either do it for free or really cheap if I thought I could do a good job. And I'd always tell them, hey, don't tell anybody that I'm doing that. But that way they would take the stuff out and it would get heard, because most of my work has come from people hearing my work. Here's the key to doing that, though. You just don't want to do some free work for somebody that, even if you like them and you like the music, it's pointless if they're not going to do anything with it. You need to do it for people that are going to go out and push it. People that have a track record of promoting the music, or, and I'm going to swing back to something I said earlier, and I'm going to repeat it because I said this earlier on the stream, but I'll repeat it because there's probably new people here. I've made a habit. I had a policy for years where I always had one project that I invested in. And in the mid to late 90s, I met Bone Crusher, who did Never Scared. And I met him on a compilation album that I did with somebody else. And I just thought Bone was really cool. So I took him out to Taco Bell and bought him some burritos and said, hey, you want to work on some songs? And I did it just because I liked him. But then I realized, man, every song we do, and this is back when we were sometimes using cassettes, and I could burn a CD sometimes. Early days, it was cassettes. He would take that and play it for everybody. And he knew everybody in town. Like, he was friends with Little John and just, Yin Yang Twins and DJ Cersei and all the radio DJs and all the people. Like, everybody knew Bone. So if Bone and I did a song, and it could even be a bad song, but if it sounded good, actually, he would even play the stuff that sounded bad. So I made a point, made sure to make sure that all my rough mixes were really good. But anything that we did, he would go out and play it for everybody in town. He'd take it to the club, or he'd take it to a radio station and talk his way in and get it played. And he'd be like, yeah, you need to go work with this guy, Billy Hume, out in Norcross, Georgia, which is where I lived at the time and I had my studio. And it changed my life. And there was another band, I talked about this earlier too, a band called Grout. And that got out in the world. They had some record labels looking at them, never got a record deal. But one of the guys in the band, Lenwood, the bass player, we would burn CDs and he would just go everywhere. He'd go to malls and just give them out to people. And everybody heard it. That music got out in the world, and I got so much work off that. So my answer is, first off, make sure you're really good. Second off, you just need to have a body of work that you can play and you can show people, and that it sounds good on small speakers and big speakers and all that. That's the best way to do it. And then also just go meet other mixers, meet people. I hate to use the word networking because I've never been good at networking, but I think it's about relationships and making friends with people that have common goals. And you'd be surprised how many people out there that are other mixers and producers. They'll help you out and they'll give you tips. It's at least in Atlanta and everywhere else I've been. So it's been a very supportive community. Let's see. Are there any other questions?
Thoughts on Browerizing? That's from Ian McGranahan.
Oh man, I don't have many thoughts on it. His technique is so weird. So what? Okay, so this is somebody over on YouTube. A Brower is God. What's his first name again? I just think the name Brower is I don't even know his first name. He's a famous mixer and did stuff for like Coldplay and everybody else. And he's got this weird way of mixing where he has different groups, groups of sounds and voices, and he mixes into compressors, and it sounds... I kind of do a similar thing. I've got my own version of it, but I don't think it's as complex because I know that he's doing, as far as I understand it, multiple groups, and he mixes into compression. I think that the idea of mixing into compression is something I do, like not at his level. But for instance, I always EQ before compression. I send all my drums into a group, and there's compressors there. Compression is one of the main tools I use in my mixes, and it's not just about controlling the volume. Sometimes a compressor and the way you hit it really will affect the tone. But unfortunately, I don't have any super intellectual thoughts about, Michael Brower, that's it, yeah. I don't, now I guess I need to go look at that. I'll tell you what, Ian, I'm going to, hold on, let me write this down on a piece of paper because people ask, hold on. I'm going to write this down because I keep feeling like I'm an idiot because I don't have anything really good to say about it, but I know he's got a very unique way of mixing, and I'm going to look into it, and maybe I'll try it out. Maybe I'll do a video about it. So, Ian, hit me back. Keep an eye on that, and maybe in a few weeks I'll have something more intelligent to say about it.
Chronic Dream is wondering if we know any vinyl makers that'll do small batches, which I don't know that we do.
I don't know. I know there's one in Athens, Georgia, that there's a vinyl factory there. And speaking of vinyl, so in the video, and I think I just played some of it, I pulled out some of my records. Oh, and actually, it might show up today. I had a company. So I'm always getting these endorsement things in email, like, because I got numbers. I'm starting to get numbers on Instagram and YouTube. And they say, will you endorse our product? And it'll be like kitchen towels or like, God, there was one, it was seeds. A seed company. Like, why? But
I mean, at least with seeds, to be fair, you did have a garden thing kind of as an aside for a little while, but I doubt they know that.
Yeah, my gardens always die. But I did have somebody hit me up recently about a turntable, and they're sending it to me, and I'm going to put it in a video, and I'll, it's not paying, they're just giving me the turntable, but it looked really cool. But I do have another turntable, and I pulled it out, and I found a box of records, and I forgot I even owned this. This is like, when this record first came out, Prince, and, it's kind of fascinating when you really look at a record, like, man, it was a thing, it was like a physical thing. And I don't know how many of y'all know about, vinyl records, but there's like these little grooves, little teeny grooves in here, and the needle would, sit in the groove, and inside the groove are basically bumps. And the bumps are the music. It still blows my mind. Like if you look in there with a magnifying glass, you'll be like, how is that the music? But anyway, I got this. And I found, and I'm probably going to do some live streams where I just play records, but, some of these are kind of crackly, but there's definitely a sound to it that's kind of cool. I'm going to set up my stereo. I just repainted the living room for doing drums up there because I got a big ceilings. I found this. I love this album. This is George Benson's Breezin'. It's got Masquerade on it. Oh my God, I wore this thing out. It still works though. I played it the other day. This, oh my God, found this. This is just a handful of the ones I've got. So this was a very influential record for me. One of the things I liked about this album is the pictures. Oh my God, look at that. Yeah, I would sit here and listen to that and just stare at the pictures and like, I want to stand on stage like that with a light on me, with my guitar down low like that. Hell yeah. And let's see. Now, this record here has been considered by many Grand Funk Railroad fans their worst record. But I'm telling you, I love this album. This is Grand Funk Railroad called Survival. It's cool, man. I like this record. And there's a part on this record where there's like studio chatter. And they start the song and they mess up, and then somebody yells at each other, And I love it. And I remember as a kid listening to it going like, oh, is that what it's like at the studio? And yeah, it is. It's like, come on, man, get going, you know? But yeah, so I didn't put this in the video though. It's just, you know, I have this too. K-Tel Hit Machine from, what is this, 1976. And it's got, this used to be a popular thing where you could buy it and it would have like the current hits on it. So it's got like Shake, 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 Shake by the Casey and the Sunshine Band. Starbuck, Moonlight, Feels Right. It's got Summer by War. Oh my God. Linda Ronstadt. Frankie Valli. It's funny. It's got Frankie Valli and Paul Anka on here. But Billy Ocean, Elton John, Island Girl, Welcome Back, which is the by John Sebastian theme show for the theme song from the show. Welcome Back, Kotter. Yeah. Anyway, got that. What else do I have? Oh yeah, this is a good record. Billy Joel, The Stranger. I don't remember buying this. I think this might have been my brother's record or my ex's. When my ex moved out of the house, she might not have taken this with her. So, oops. And of course, this. The album that the Beatles kind of didn't want to put out, and they broke up, and then Phil Spector came in and finished it and put it out, and it was kind of controversial, but it's actually a good record. But what's cool about this one is, once again, pictures. Like, look at this, man. Look. Can you see that? Like, look right here. Look at the setup. They're all in the big room at Abbey Roads. They're just sitting there recording. And then over here, look at this console. Where is it? Yeah, this console, which I don't know if it's up for sale or somebody bought it. God knows how much money it's worth, but it was handmade by the people in the studio, because back then there wasn't a company where you could just go and buy a mixer. You would have to build one. So I'm pretty sure that they built that in the studio. And then, you know, close-ups of them on the microphones. I'd stare at this and be like, why is he like that on the mic? And why is it like that? You know, I would just stare. That was one thing about albums that was cool with pictures. You'd just look at it. And actually, now I'm looking at it. I think that's an Audio-Technica mic on Paul McCartney right there. I forget the model number. I think there's two on there. Why does he have two mics on there? I don't know. Somebody tell me. Oh, you have that K-Tel record? I've got a bunch more. Where'd the Boston record go? Oh, and then this. And I think this is kind of funny. So when Boston came out, and they were huge, it wasn't cool to like them. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until literally a few years ago that anybody in the music business I knew would admit liking Boston. I always liked them. I thought these records were absolutely amazing. And I don't know, you know, if many people know about the Boston records, but they were recorded in a basement. They're actually recorded in Tom Scholz's basement. This guy right here. He was a engineer for, like Kodak or Polaroid or something like that. He was like a smart guy. He built a studio in his basement, had 24 tracks, I think, down there, maybe 16s, I can't remember. And this album was recorded in his basement. And when they got a record deal, this was back when record labels, they didn't believe you could make a good album in a basement. So they insisted that he go and record and redo the whole album in LA. It's like they weren't even using their ears. It was just like, oh, you did it in a basement, it must sound bad. Well, the producer, and they said you have to get an outside producer. The producer they got heard what Tom Scholz had done and said, oh my God, I don't think I can beat that. I'll tell you what, I'll take a couple guys from the band to LA and we'll pretend that we're recording, and you go back to your basement and finish the mixes. So what you're hearing on this record, one of the greatest selling records of all time, and I think just sounds amazing, was done in somebody's basement back before home studios were a thing. I just had to talk about that. And look at that. Look at that. Vinyl. Woo.
Okay, I've been looking over here looking for something because I had seen it in the past. I'm going to send a link to a GIF that actually shows a vinyl record under an electron microscope.
Oh, are you emailing it to me?
I can, but I was going to post it in chat.
Oh, But will it be, well, email it to me and I'll put it up on the screen so everybody can see it.
Oh, great
big.
idea.
Yeah, do that. And then I can put it up on the screen. Let me see. Are there any? I've been over here battling away.
Yeah, there's stuff. I've been busy looking for this, so.
I think it's because I didn't sleep much last night. Oh, my God. Whew. It's been a hell of a week is all I'm going to say. But
yeah, it has.
And I got the video done. I literally got the YouTube video I just put up. I got the thumbnail done like 5 minutes before what I thought was stream time. I thought it was 3 o'clock. I started an hour early. But yeah, I've just been running. I haven't had any lunch. Oh, Nico denied. Hey, what's going on? Oh, you're in Barcelona. Hey, I hope you all are right over there. I don't know much about the geography of Spain, but I know you guys have been hit by the floods. It's terrible. Hope everybody's all right there. Do you want to put all your stories in one book? I would. One of my kids has been telling me for years is like, you need to make a book or make a movie about your life. And it's not, I've worked on some big records and all that, but it's not like I'm super famous. But man, I've got a lot of crazy stories, and a lot of it has nothing to do with music. I lived in West Berlin in the 70s during the Cold War. And at that time, West Berlin was in the middle of communist East Germany, and the whole city was surrounded by a wall. I've got some crazy stories about that, and also some interesting stuff in the music business, and I like telling stories. So a lot of my YouTube videos, Nico, a lot of them are stories. And Kit, can you put up the link to my YouTube channel? I know it's on the YouTube chat, but put it up there anyway. Well, he's probably on my channel then. Hey, Nico, go check out. I reorganized. I just reorganized my YouTube channel. I kind of feel like maybe I should make a playlist called Stories. Although a lot of my videos are still stories even when they're not meant to be.
Yeah, your videos are multidisciplinary.
My whole life is multidisciplinary.
Yes, it is.
Like nothing's simple for me. I remember, and I'm jumping around here. So today it's pretty common to record. You write your songs, you play on them, you record them, you mix them, you do the graphic design, you make your website. But back in the day, it wasn't like that. Back in the day, when I started, you were either a mixer or an engineer or a mastering guy or a songwriter or a producer. And actually, there was this kind of weird way of thinking that a producer shouldn't mix the album he produces. Oh no, you shouldn't do that. Why? Well, you just don't. The producer shouldn't mix it. It should go to a mixer. Get this other opinion on it, which is actually in many ways a good idea. But man, some people even thought like, well, if you're the engineer, you shouldn't mix it. But I always did, and I got a lot of criticism for that. And people in the music industry, because I have always, even when I started doing major label projects, I was still recording, mixing, producing, and working in multiple genres. I was doing rap and rock and country. And everybody said, stick to one thing. Just mix rap, or just mix rock, or just produce rock, or just produce pop. And I'm like, hey, man, I get bored. And I had a point to this whole thing.
Hey, I emailed you that clip. Also, you were talking about people who bucked that trend of, you shouldn't produce and mix and record all of it. I'm going to link your Shuggie Otis video.
Oh, yeah. Y'all should go check out the Shuggie Otis video because he was another one of those guys that did it all. Hold on. Let me check this email. I want to get this GIF. And, hold on. Well, it's actually, can I download that? Here, I'm going to just put it up on the screen here. Hold on. Okay, so guys, this is, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. We're talking about vinyl records. So that right there is what you're seeing there. Oh, it goes left and right too. That's interesting. That is a super,
it's an electron microscope.
It's an electron microscope, and it's microscope, and it's actually looking at the grooves in a record. So what you're seeing, what that is what it looks like inside the grooves of an album right here. That's crazy. Somehow that makes music. How's that possible? Wow. Thanks, Kit. Yeah, nowadays it's all just ones and zeros. And I was telling a story, and I haven't slept, so I kind of got off, and I got a little confused, which is not unusual. Hold on, let me go back to the tab here for YouTube. Okay, Rockman. Oh, funny your name is Rockman, and we're talking about Tom Schultz. He doesn't do drums any justice after Don't Look Back. You know, funny thing is people always criticize the drums for the Boston records. Here, let me hold this up again. Where'd I put it? Oh, I'm so tired. I lost my Boston album. But yeah, people. The funny thing is I think because the guitars and the organs and vocals sound so good, I didn't listen to the drums that much. A lot of criticism on the drums on that. Let's see.
Yeah, I've lost track of people's comments and questions. So,
Stefan.
There you go.
Crystal. No, I cannot speak a little German. Here's the thing. You go to Germany and everybody speaks English. I learned how to ask where the bus stop was. I learned how to say cuss words. I was a teenager. I learned how to say cuss words and ask where I could buy the hash. Where could I go to buy hashish? That's all I learned in German. I'm sorry to say, man. It's kind of sad. So Rockman is saying over on YouTube that he became a subscriber. Thank you so much. After my response to Beato's critique of modern songs, which could you put up that video link too?
Sure.
I did that a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I've known Rick Beato for a really long time, and he put up a video. I don't normally do response videos, and I kind of just did it for fun. I was just kind of poking fun at him, and boy, it blew up and got a lot of comments. And I actually got a call from Rick earlier this week about the video. Funny conversation. Let's see. And thanks for subscribing so much. Yes, Cappy Gear. Hey, I wonder if I can... Yes, I have some Cappy Gear. I'm going to see if I can hook up this other camera here and show it to you so people know what I'm talking about. Kit, can you talk about something real quick?
I'm trying to put up a link to your video.
Well, can't you put up the link and talk at the same time?
I am not a multitasker in that way.
And I'm hungry. I want some lunch. Can you make a sandwich, put up a link, and talk about something at the same time?
No.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
I'm putting up a link eventually after I'm done talking to y'all to Billy's video, Why Music is Getting Worse.
Oh, shit.
Rick missed the mark. As a response, Rick had a video about why he thought music was getting worse. And, Billy didn't necessarily. It's interesting because they share some opinions, but there's a different take on it. But I'm trying to think. Oh, and don't forget to check out Billy's latest video that he just put out right before the stream, which is the real reason why today's music is starting to sound the same. And so you can see there's a little overlap there where there's some things Billy thinks that Rick didn't get right. And then they share certain opinions that are kind of circling around each other, but not necessarily the same.
It might sound a little contradictory. I was just thinking I didn't think about it till after I put up the video, that it might sound like I'm contradicting myself, because on the response video with Rick, it was almost kind of like I'm defending technology and all that. And in the video I put up, I'm kind of saying things about technology, but they actually do go together. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Let me see if this is going to work. Okay, so... Oh, let me get this. Sorry. I don't have Harper helping us here today. So, you were asking about Cappy Gear. Yes, I have. See, okay, so I've got two of these VP28s. I found out about these in Nashville when I was working up at Compass Studios with the String Dusters, and fell in love with these. These are, I believe, like a recreation of some of the earliest APIs. These are kits. Now, you can buy these built. I had to buy this in parts. They send you all the parts, and I had to solder it all together, and it was very scary. The first one took me like 12 hours, and then the second one's like 4 hours because I figured it out. But yeah, these are amazing mic pre's. Use them all the freaking time, man. Absolutely great. And what I like about them is that the bottom knob is like a fader. The big knob is like a fader. The top one is like a gain preamp on a mixer. And as you turn it up, it gets a little grimier and a little harder sounding. because a lot of these mic pre's, they kind of have one sound. Like these ones here, these gray ones, these are API, these are Neve 1073 clones. They're made by a company called AML, and they're called Easy 1073s. They're handmade, a little expensive, around 900 or $1,000. Those are amazing. And as you turn up the gain, you can really, it gets fuzzy. But yeah, I just had to show off my my cappies. Let's see, where was I at?
Well, here's an interesting question from Nico DeKnight. Billy, one more question. How do you organize your studio time? Are you working from dusk till dawn or prefer daytime?
Oh.
Is this too much for your sleep-deprived brain right now?
Well, no, I don't do dusk to dawn anymore. When I was working on rap music, oh my God, whew, we wouldn't even start a session till, maybe 4, usually 6 or 7. I can't tell you how many times I would be driving home. This was after I used to live at my studio and then I moved out. I'd be driving home and everybody's going in the opposite direction, going to work. And we would do, oh my God. It's kind of cool. I mostly work now. I'm usually down in the studio I was down early today because I needed to get the video done and get ready for the stream. But I'm normally up. I'm usually down here because this is my house. I'm usually down here by like 10 or 11. But I typically work 12-hour days or more. There's just a lot of work to do, especially now because I'm still doing production work and mixing for people, making videos, and I'm working on my own album and trying to stick that all in together. And I'm actually in a band. By the way, Jim called today. We have a gig in December.
Oh, okay.
And he asked me if I could play it, and I said yes.
Okay, I'll double check the dates.
So yeah, so I'm doing a lot of stuff. It's a lot of work, but the funny thing is I love it. The only time I ever had a job where I really thought about it was a job that I worked at CNN in the 90s on their website, for their website, coding their website, and I worked down at their headquarters in Atlanta. And it was at first, it was like, oh, cool, I got a real job, and because I was like painting houses at the time and doing construction because I wasn't making a lot of money in the music business yet. I freaking hated that job. It's the only job I've ever had where I looked at a clock. Although last night I was looking at the clock because I didn't knock off till 4 a.m. But yeah, I typically start late morning and then I work all day. I don't know. There's a lot of work to do, but I love it. Yes, I did ask her to make me a sandwich, Chronic Dream. Luckily, Crystal, she's got a great sense of humor. Kit?
What?
You're supposed to say, ha ha, that was so funny.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Hold on. Okay. Rockman. Oh, and Rockman, hold on. I'm going to say something here, but I want to come back to something. I thought it was kind of interesting because you were talking about your name's Rockman online. I have this. That is a Rockman sustainer. So in case a lot of people don't know, the guy, hold on, let me back up and explain this properly. Hold on. I'm here just while I'm looking.
Also in your history, there was Do the Rockman.
Oh my God, yes. Where's my Boston record?
You just had it. What'd you do?
How do I lose an album without leaving the room?
With barely leaving your chair.
Okay, so we were talking about this earlier. This is the Boston album. And I was talking about how it was made and how the whole thing was recorded by Tom Schultz in his basement because he was a genius. Boston ended up having some legal issues, and there were millions and millions and millions of dollars being held in escrow, and they couldn't get it. So he was like, I need to make some money. Here's what I'm going to start a company. I'm going to invent something. And he invented something called the Rockman. So I don't know if a lot of people remember the Walkman. The Walkman was a little device that was kind of that big, and you could put a cassette in it and, plug with an 1/8" jack to some little headphones and wear it on your belt, and they became popular. He invented something called the Rockman, which was about the same size, but you could plug your guitar into it and put some headphones in it, and it sounded like the guitars on Boston. It was like, oh my God. And I don't have one of those. I'd like to get an original, but I found this in a pawn shop in the 90s. This is similar to that. It doesn't have the reverb and stuff on it. It's got 2 clean channels and 2 distorted channels. Don't really like the distorted channels, but the clean channels are amazing, and the compression on this thing is awesome. I actually use this all the time. I run it into that Summit Tube DI back there, and then straight into the board, and that's a clean sound that I love. But anyway, I found it in a pawn shop in Brevard, North Carolina. I don't have the. Hold on, I'm not on the damn camera. Sorry, I'm tired. So there it is. That's the sustainer. God, I don't have to say all that again, do I? This is a sustainer very similar to the Rockman. Got it in a pawn shop in Brevard, North Carolina in the 90s. I brought it home, stuck it on a shelf for something like 15 years or more, and then pulled it out a few years ago, and I was like, oh my God, this thing's amazing. So it's it's like an amp model type thing, but the compression is absolutely fantastic. Love this thing. But yeah, back to what Rockman was saying. Let me go back up. You were saying during Boston's third stage, she used the samples of the first 2 Boston albums. Oh, wow. Like, you mean samples on the drums or something? Interesting. I have to look. I want to do a video about the whole Boston album. It's just so many things to do. Let's see.
Are we caught up?
I think we're caught up.
Hey, did we miss anybody?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been kind of talking this whole time. I'm gonna show another clip from the video that I put out today, and then I'll probably end the stream here. Let me find another section. So I put out a YouTube video, and I've been playing some little clips of it. Let me see what I got here. Let me go back here. So here is, I'm gonna go back here. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna play a little clip. Oh my God, I'm trying to get my thing happening here. I just started from the beginning. So I'm going to play a little clip from the YouTube video I just put out. Oh, hold on, Gundog. I'll answer your question in a minute. Gundog over on Twitch. I will answer your question. This is the 3rd time I've been kind of asked the same question.
Yeah, I told him he could rewatch the stream.
Yeah,
but
I'll talk about it in a minute. But let me play this little.
Actually, I'm going to answer Alex's question.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play. So this is a clip from the video that just came out on YouTube today. Here we go. I'm sure that many of you have noticed that music is starting to sound more and more the same. Sometimes I have a hard time telling the difference between different artists. As a music producer and mixer who started in the 70s completely in analog and worked my way through every evolution of digital recording and mixing, I've been a witness to the changes in technology and the music business that has led to music losing its uniqueness. Some of the things I'm going to talk about you may have heard of before, but I've got a different perspective and different reasons why they have contributed to the sound-alike syndrome. It used to be that everything you heard on a song, every instrument, every vocal was recorded with a microphone, which meant that all the sound went through the air. And what that means is that air can introduce an infinite amount of variations into the sound because the sound will change based on the atmospheric pressure, the temperature, the humidity, and yes, it's a small amount, but when you add it all up, it's a cumulative effect. If you consider all the microphones used on one session compared to another session that was recorded at a different studio with different conditions. There's also just something about air, sound going through air, and it's what gives us life. It's what we breathe. And consider that a lot of the songs you're hearing today, the only thing that is being recorded with a microphone and is going through the air is the voice. Everything else goes through a wire. There's also a huge difference in where you put the microphones. It's going to sound different if it's here, or here, or here, or angled. It's an infinite amount of variations. Now, I know that some of the plugins that people are using on their digital audio workstations on their computers, they allow you to kind of move the mic in the plugin, but they can't account for all the variations in distance and angle because most of the plugins either allow you to put it straight on like this or at a 45-degree angle. And even though some plugins allow more variation in the angle of the microphone, like these universal audio plugins, which are actually pretty awesome, there still seems to be limitations on where I can move the microphones. And I've yet to find an amp modeling plugin that incorporates using a microphone on the rear of the amplifier, which is something I like to do a lot. Not to mention that no two mics of the same model are going to sound exactly the same. This mic is going to sound different than this mic, which is going to sound different than this mic. which introduces more variations into the different recordings that different people are making. Back in the old days of recording, or should I say, back when I was a youngster, we would walk barefoot 10 miles through the snow carrying our amplifiers on our back. But seriously, back in the old days. So yeah, that's a clip of the video I just put out, and Kit's going to put up a link for it. Hopefully everybody goes and watches it, likes it. And if you got something you want to, complain about something, that's fine. Just please watch the whole video because some of the points don't get made till the end. But either way, comment, just as long as it's not mean. Okay, so Gundog, yeah, I did answer the question, but now, so this is on Twitch. Gundog is asking, my naming conventions for tracks and sessions, do you include bit depth and sample rate? It's kind of funny. I don't. It's probably a good idea because, nowadays, almost everybody sends things to me at 48K. But lately, I've had people send me things at 44.1, and I forget, and I open it up, and I'm using a Apogee Big Ben Master Clock, and I've got 2 interfaces, and then I got to reset it and reopen Pro Tools and all that. But it's a good question about naming tracks.
Because you definitely have your system.
Oh, I definitely have my system. Oh my God, I got to tell you one thing that drives me nuts. I'm going to complain first, Gundog, so hang on, man. People will send me stuff to mix, and either the files or the tracks in Pro Tools are all capitalized. Please don't do that. And here's the reason why. Because if you're in Pro Tools or any DAW, what it's going to do, if you got a long name, it's going to not show all the letters. But if you capitalize, let's say it's lead guitar, you capitalize the L, you capitalize the G, it will use the capitalized letters and then take out some of the smaller letters. And even though you can't read the whole thing, you'll know, oh, L, G, that's probably the lead guitar. But when it's all capitalized, so there's that. The other thing I do with tracks is I always name, like for instance, I would never call something lead guitar. I would name it guitar lead. The reason is because if I need to find the file in my audio files folder, I know that it's going to be in the G. They're all going to be, all the guitars are going to be together instead of like acoustic guitar or lead guitar or solo the guitar, and they're all over. All in the audio files folder, it's going to be guitar solo, guitar picking, if I got a picking part, guitar heavy, like maybe it's distorted. I do the same thing with vocals. My vocals are always Voc, V-O-C-L, capital L for lead vocal, Voc, BV for background vocals, maybe BV1, BV2. My drums are always kick, snare drum. I do definitely name the drums, but I'm very consistent about how I name things. And, that's a really good question and a good practice to get into. Gundog, you could go GTR for guitar. Like, it's however you like. The main thing is to be very consistent with it, because my idea about production, engineering, mixing is that I'm good at the technical stuff for sure, but I don't think, to me, that's not where your brain energy should go. I feel like you learn what you need to learn and you get good at it, and then you make it so it's so easy to do because you're good at it, but you've kind of come up with procedures that you don't have to think about it. It should be like a martial art, you're like, practice these moves. It's like, you do it without even thinking about it. Same thing in a session. Like in the middle of a session, I don't want to be thinking, like trying to remind myself how I patch something up. I heard a story about a friend of mine, Rodney Mills, who recorded and mixed like Leonard Skinner and all that. And this is what actually got me thinking about it, that he would always put his kick on 1, snare on 2, overheads. He always used the same tracks for certain instruments, so he could label it, but it was kind of second nature to go and know where things were at, so you don't have to think so much. Same thing with my studio, and I guess I can show a little bit here, but it's a freaking mess right now, but I have things certain set up, like for instance, even like where my headphones are at. I have my headphones here under my desk. Boom, they're right there. They're always hanging there, a little torn up, and I have my headphone jack like right here, easy to get to. I want things to be easy. Like this mic here, this is the mic I use for streaming. It's always sitting, although I'm usually using an RE20, long explanation why I'm not using that today. There's my recording and streaming mic always sits on the stand while I'm mixing. I push it back. It stays here. This cable here is down at the patch bay. It's got a label on it. It's always sitting there. I know exactly where it is. It's very redundant. I have very redundant systems because I don't want to be thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? I make sure all my cables are good. I chase down, grounding issues and all that. But I know I'm on a rant here. But when you get in, yes, like a system, gun dog, you want to make sure that every little thing is easy to do. And it's kind of funny how much time I spend in my studio just like making sure that, God, I'm so tired right now because I didn't sleep much last night, but every little thing. Oh, here's another example. I'll give you another example. So I play guitar on a lot of stuff I record. I have my tuner sitting right there. It's hooked up to the mixer, and it's set up that anything that is actively being recorded, whether it's a guitar or vocal, will go to that tuner. And so that way, if I'm going to record guitar, I don't have to hook up a tuner. It's always on. It's always there. If somebody's playing bass and they're like, where's my tuner? I'm like, it's all right. It's right here. Always there. I don't have to think about it. It's always patched up. I don't touch it. It always stays in a particular output, and it's coming through the Universal Audio console app. I've got a million little things. I'm thinking about what other stuff.
Also, the way that you name the files, not just the tracks, but the files themselves, because that way, if you need to find a song and you need to find it quickly, you've got this system set up so that you can look very easily through your drive and spot what you want.
Yeah, good point. For instance, let's go over to one of my folders here. This is, so I'm working on my album, and, I'm going in the wrong direction. Oh, here we go. Okay, so, I'm going to pull up a song. Oh, let me go to the DAW. So let's see. Let me see where something I've been working on a long time. Let's see. Where is it? Oh my God, I'm so tired. Where is it? I'm looking for a particular song, and for some reason, here's a good example. Okay, so this is a song called Poison, and if you look down here at the bottom, you'll see it says testing. I was just testing something. And then it says setup because I was and then it's like, okay, there's Poison, right? That's the first time I worked on it 2 years ago. Oh my God, it's been working on it for too long. Then I've got Poison 4. I don't know why I named it Poison 4. Maybe I forgot, but it's, it's all labeled. Then I've got arrangement 6 and 7 because I changed the arrangement. New edit vocals, bad day work. But basically it goes all the way up. So if I haven't worked on a song in a day, I go back. The minute I open up, I do a save as, and I name it. Some people will be a lot more kind of logical about it. Mine don't necessarily are that way. But the other thing is I always view my contents by date modified. So whenever I open up any folder, I click date modified. The newest thing is at the top. And then I can see it going backwards. But I always name them. I should probably come up with a more, logical way of naming them. But yeah, I always save new files. But, song names in there. Always got the song name. Unlike somebody I know who names all his songs by numbers.
Oh, that would drive me insane.
That's what PR does.
Oh, that would...
Yeah, it's like number 108.
How would anybody keep track?
All the songs are with numbers. But yeah, that's how I do it. So always save new versions of your session each time you open it up. So if you need to go back, you can.
And not to mention saving things so that when you're looking at multiple songs, even things where you started a track and maybe didn't get very far, but you're saving it anyway, just in case, that if something comes up later on and you're like, that track, that bit that I started, that you're going to be able to go find it quickly. Because if you're keeping everything like you should, that's a lot of stuff.
Interesting. Oh, I didn't have the camera on you. You're over there talking. I'm just staring into space. Oh my God. I've got to end this stream soon and drink some coffee. I'm so freaking tired. Okay, I want to get back to some of the chat here. I've been on now for like almost 2 hours. And by the way, I used to do 7-hour streams where we do recording sessions here. I hadn't done it in a while.
So we have had a couple people ask you to do another one.
Yeah, I was talking to Jimmy about doing one last night, and I don't know if I'm going to do a 7-hour stream. I did some streams with Slade that were like 7 hours. Okay, let me go back. Oh, hey, Kit. So Alex is on YouTube is asking about insurance.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to let her answer that.
Well, I'm going to try to answer it. I don't have a good answer for you. This is actually something that I've been looking into for the best thing for us. Yes, you can do it under your homeowner's insurance if you have a home-based studio. And you can, but okay, first thing with insurance, you need a list. You need a list of every piece of gear with the serial number and a picture of it. And you need to keep this list, and all of you need to do this. Keep this list of all your gear, your instruments, every piece of outboard gear, every microphone, even keep, a count of cables, all of it. And for those things that have serial numbers, write those serial numbers down. If, God forbid, if you ever have something stolen, if you have some kind of a, natural disaster, a flood, whatever, this will help you. Like if you have to file a police report, you're going to need to put this stuff in the police report. If you have to file with insurance, you're going to need that stuff. As far as what kind of insurance, yes, you can, like I said, you can do it under homeowners insurance. It depends on your particular insurance company's policies. It can get expensive. If you're a member of, there are several music organizations out there. Like, I know, whatever the union is, I know offers some things. And there are some other music organizations that offer insurance specifically for musicians and recording studios. So you can look into that and see if there's something more affordable there. And you can also look into business insurance. If you're incorporated as a business, you can see if maybe doing something like that is the most beneficial way. But I mean, these are all possible options for insuring whether you're a musician, you go out and gig, you tour, whether you have a home studio, whether you have a bigger studio, all of these are scenarios where you really do need to make sure that you have adequate coverage for the stuff that you've got. But the first step is that list.
Well, he's actually, while you've been talking, he put something on here. He was asking about insurance for the studio. He said, someone almost got shot at my place and I don't want to get sued.
Oh, that's a whole other.
That's a whole other thing. Somebody almost got shot at my studio too. But I happened to be the one holding the gun. It was a little different. Somebody tried to rob me, and I got my 9mm out before they got theirs out, and I got him out the door. And you said that's the risk you run into recording rap, and I got to tell you, man, there was that, and then there was another time some guys got in a fight, and I got them out the front door and called the police, and they hauled them off. After that, I was a lot more careful about those kind of sessions. After that, I never had a problem. But I was also kind of lucky because all the guys I worked with, like Lil Jon and Bone Crusher and Collie Park and they all knew each other. They're all friends. And if I didn't know somebody, I could call up somebody and say, I don't work with that guy. The other thing that ended up happening is that you start getting a kind of a sense about who to not let to the studio. I never had a studio that was just like open to the public. My studio, I did a lot of work, but if I didn't like somebody or I felt weird about it, I just wouldn't take them in. You just got to be really careful about that. But me personally, if I was doing rap, I would never have at this point because I got a family and I'm real careful who I let come to my home studio. And I'm not just talking about rap. I've had some crazy country guys in here that were like, ooh. But if I was doing more public work, I would definitely have a gun under the mixer. Actually, I do have a gun under the mixer, but that's just because I've always had guns. It's how I was raised.
And so specifically talking about insurance, if you're worried about liability with people coming over to your house, don't rely on your homeowner's insurance for that.
I don't know if your homeowner insurance is going to cover.
Yeah, don't even test that.
I was flying under the radar, but it was different because I knew everybody. So, man, be careful, Alex. Like, dude, just like...
Hey, I was talking.
Oh.
Hello. No. The next part of that I was going to say is if you find yourself in that kind of situation, more importantly, be careful about who you let in, just like Billy was saying. Develop that sixth sense for, whether something's a little dicey. And also incorporate yourself as a limited liability corporation.
Yeah.
And you'll need to talk to somebody much more experienced than me about that. But that would be an important thing to look into. Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I see Mixed Club's on here, and he just got his notification. As usual, Mixed Club, the video will be live on YouTube as soon as I'm done. I'm going to go back. I do have to stop soon because I'm so tired. Okay, Stefan was asking about cable manufacturers. I use, is it Canare? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Canre. It's got the star quad cables where you've got the ground, and then there's 2 leads for your negative and positive, and then they're twisted. They kind of go. They're great cables. I use those a lot. I don't know about summer cables. I will tell you though, those Canare cables are expensive, and I make all my own cables. I usually buy the cable, and then I buy like the connectors, and I solder them myself because I just like doing my handmade cables have outlasted anything I've bought made at a store, just because I'm obsessive. I see. Is that Slade? Is that the Slade that we know?
The Slade.
Is that Slade? Because I thought it was Yo at Slade. Slade, is that you?
Yo at Slade is on Instagram, babe.
Yeah, but is that him on YouTube?
Well,
hold on. Let me click. I guess I could click on it. Hold on.
You could. Also, Stefan asked, do you export after a session every single track or stems for safety or future recalls?
Sorry, I'm trying to find out if that's our Slade.
Slade, are you our Slade?
Are you our Slade? Oh, it is Slade. Slade. God dang it, man. I know we're supposed to work on something, man. I literally think about you every day. Guilt. I feel a sense of guilt because I know I need to finish those songs. Hey, did you ever have any tweaks on those first 2 songs? You never said anything back, but yeah, man, I was last night, I got a real guilty feeling like, oh, am I supposed to call him up or something?
Y'all saw when Billy was pulling up all those versions of that song Poison. That's with Slade.
No, Slade's not on Poison.
So Slade's not on Poison?
No,
Slade's
that's
on.
My song.
Yes, Slade's on. Okay, that's your song.
Nobody's on Poison yet. I need to add somebody to it. Okay, let's see. What
did you hear my question about exporting after a session?
I think I saw that.
Was it do you do every single track, stems?
Hold
do you
on.
do it for safety or future recalls?
Where is that?
Up in YouTube. It's been a minute.
I've been talking a lot today. That's what happens when I get tired. I'm like getting delirious here. I don't know. Yeah, the stems. No. I do it if they pay. If people ask me to do it, I'm going to charge extra for it. I hate exporting stems. I mean, I'll do it, but I'm going to charge by the hour. I will say, I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to freeze all my tracks that have third-party plugins on them. Oh my God, I've been thinking a lot about using less and less third-party plugins because you use one and you kind of forget about it, and they upgrade it and it doesn't work anymore. And I changed systems. So guys, I started working in Pro Tools in the 90s. I might make a video about this. I've got so many old Pro Tools systems, and it just pisses me off to, like, I can't even... God, they even changed... They were using Sound Designer 2 files and switched that up, and I can't open them on the new system. I got to open up on an old computer. The plugin thing's kind of driving me nuts. I like some of the... like a lot of third-party plugins, but I've been using more and more stock plugins because I'm just sick of updating it or... going back to an old session and the plugin doesn't work. So one thing I'm doing now is if there's third-party plugins on it, I freeze it. I'm just getting to the point just so I don't have to worry about it later on. I don't export a bunch of stems, but when I do mixes, whether the client asks for it or not, I always do a vocal up. I always do instrumental. I always do a cappella. Always, even if they don't need it, because later on they're going to ask, and then 3 years later, like, hey, I need an instrumental. It's like, I'm on a different computer, and the plugin's changing, it won't sound the same. Sorry. Oh, and Rockman, hey man, do you know? Can you send a link? Those Tom Schultz videos. I would love to see that. Okay, let me scroll on down here. Oh, thanks, Rhett. Appreciate it. Slade, miss you, man. Mr. Grooves is on here. Yeah, and I know some of y'all showed up late because the damn notifications ain't going out. I seriously think that Twitch is not sending out notifications.
Well, and he was on YouTube saying he didn't get his notification in time. That was probably because you had set it up for 3 and then we started at 2.
I started an hour early like a bonehead. I literally thought it was 3 o'clock and I'm like running like, oh my God. And I got here like, ah. And then it's like, why isn't YouTube starting? I look, oh wait, it's 2. So I decided to go longer. Just, I don't know.
Mr. Grooves, yeah, unfortunately, you definitely caught another Q&A. I don't know if you've been here long, but sorry, we're
but
about
it'll all
to
be
head
up
out.
online, and I'll be on here next Wednesday. I normally stream on Wednesday. I probably need to get offline here and promote the video. Kit, one last time.
Oh, yeah, and Damage Kisses, Instagram is always shady. We don't know what the deal is with Instagram. So sorry, IG folks.
There's no notifications on Instagram.
Well, but links are
up.
Weird, and it's all weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's their system. They don't want you. Yeah.
Billy's going to be doing a little thing over on Instagram about Instagram.
I'm pissed at Instagram right now. I've lost 3,000 followers or more in the last 2 months. I'm doing a video about that. And it wasn't
that the rant where you got really mad?
I did a rant on a live stream, and I had to delete it from the live stream.
Because that was
edit it online. I went back and looked at it. I actually was flicking a bird into the camera. I was like, oh my God. So I edited that section out because it was a little embarrassing. But yeah, I'm pissed at Instagram. That's a whole other thing, man. Okay, so I'm just okay. So Damage Kisses says he got notifications for both. Yeah, I don't know what's up, man. I just got to kind of do the best I can. Robbie, Rodello, thanks. You have a good weekend. I don't know if there's any more questions.
One more time, the new...
Yeah, she's going to post up a link to the new video one more time. And...
if I can find the darn thing. Here we go.
Yes, okay. This is a while ago. Once again, to Yug Music Productions. Yes, all my live streams are up on YouTube after I'm done. I think I'm going to go make some Cafe Bustelo here as soon as I'm done, and then I got to come down here and promote my video because I want to get views and I would like to start making some better money on YouTube.
Hey, y'all, and I'm going to just throw this out there because Billy doesn't like to do it. If you like what Billy's doing, try to support us. And you know that obviously it'd be awesome if you want to go check out the Patreon. If you want to, there's ways that you can throw a little money, a little tip Billy's way, like on YouTube, especially in the live streams. And Twitch, of course, has monetization options. Also, though, I mean, just like, comment, and share Billy's YouTube videos. Spread the word. I know, all the YouTubers ask for it, but it really does make a difference. And the more we can make this grow, the more content Billy's going to be able to give you guys, and the more Q&As and the more information and the more produced videos. So
thanks, Kit. Yeah, I know I should say things in my video like, remember to subscribe, and I do sometimes. I just hate asking for favors, but yeah, subscribe, please. Okay, Mr. SJK, did you try the rear bus mixing trick? Sheps, you know what? I'm going to write that down because somebody was talking about the Brower technique. I don't know much about the Shep stuff. I'm going to write this down. I need to educate myself on some of this and try it out. Hold on. It's the rear, what do you call it? Rear bus mixing. I'm going to look that up too. I actually met him at a conference once. Really cool dude. All right, so I think I got to go because I'm exhausted. I really appreciate everybody watching and commenting and being involved. I really appreciate it. It's been a rough week, and I'm really tired and exhausted, but I love what I do, and I like making the videos. I like streaming. I'd like to do it more. If I can get the subscribers up and get more views, I can make some money on this and do more of it. In the meantime, I'm still doing sessions and stuff. And I'll probably never stop doing that because I enjoy doing it. But anyway, everybody, thanks so much. I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to go make some Cafe Bustelo and drink some coffee. And I would like to go to bed, but I'm actually going to keep working. I got stuff to do. But anyway.
Thanks to everybody in chat, as usual.
Thanks so much.
It's always so cool to see everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was good seeing all my friends up here. And I'll talk to y'all later. See ya. Take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5, take whatever.